Hey guys, welcome back. Over 300 subscribers on the channel now. Couldn't be happier. I'm so glad that so many people are finding these videos helpful and hopefully entertaining. I thank you very much for following along, and let's continue this photographic journey. Now today's video is special because it was requested from one of you. A subscriber messaged asked if I could shoot a shiny product for an ad for Amazon or Etsy or Facebook or wherever. They wanted to do a product shoot. Their problem was it was a shiny subject and they were having difficulty with it. Now the other catch to this is we're not using the DSLR or studio strobes. We're going to use a cell phone and window light. So we're going to do a product shoot. They had dried fruit. Now they didn't say what kind of container they had, but I'm not a big fan of dried fruit, so I went with gummies. And hopefully this is kind of representative to the package they have. It's quite shiny, so it will be problematic and it is wrinkly. Now, if they went with a box, we've got a box of cookies here. Now, unfortunately, the cookies are gone, as my daughter thoroughly enjoyed these. I actually didn't like them. They weren't very good. Ugh. But anyways, it's a different shaped product, and it's also shiny and very colorful. I do have one other bag shaped like this that is silver. All silver with a bit of a white label. So those three things should be tricky to photograph on a white background with a cell phone. And I'm going to be using an iPhone 11 to do this. So let's create some amazing product shots that you can use to advertise your products on social media. Let's get into it. All right, here we are in my little setup. This is the area I typically use when I'm trying to simulate natural light. Anybody following my channel is aware that I don't have natural light within my studio, so that I need to use LEDs to create a window light effect. Here I'm using an LED panel shot through an umbrella to create a soft, big light source. Now, be aware with your natural light, the light coming through your window could be hard, and you need to put a soft sheer or something in front to soften that, to diffuse that light right out. You might need a couple of layers if you've got bright sun pounding right through, and you may have to block off part of the window. But you ideally want a big, soft light source. That'll really help you with the shiny look, because a big light source will wrap around the product, which is very helpful and very handy. Okay, so I'm using an LED shot through an umbrella over here to help simulate natural light. Now, our surface that we're shooting on, I'm using a piece of white foam. Is some stuff left over from craft projects that I had. So this worked out well because it does that little sloping back, and I'm just using a clamp to hold this up. Now, you want the back to curve like that. That way in your image, you don't have this and you're not getting a line that'll run right along the back here in your image, unless that's the look you're going for. If you want the image of, or your product on like more of a white, seamless, then you need that bit of a curve in the back, which I've created here. Now, let's talk about your product. Ideally, you want to get the best bag, in this case, that you can get. In my food photography videos, I've talked in the past about a hero. The hero is a perfect representation of the product, whether it be a piece of food or the packaging. In this case, the heat sealers made all this really wonky and it's extra wrinkly. If I'm trying to take photos, as the subscriber that requested this wants to do, so they can sell their product, I would take a bag with no product in it. I would cut the back open on the bag, and I would stuff it full of cotton or something like that to fill the bag out to get rid of any of the wrinkles. I would also select a bag where it was actually pure perfection. That is your hero. It is perfect. Your others, maybe with a bit of flaw, can be in the background, out of the way, out of focus, that's fine, but your main subject needs to be perfection. So you want the best bag you can get. As I say, even on here, I would cut the back open and I would stuff this so it looks a lot better, and I can get all the wrinkles out and I can get a nice shape to the bag, which makes the product look even better. All right, because you're going to find, and as this subscriber probably has, with all the wrinkling, light's bouncing off everywhere, and they're having a hard time stopping one part of the image from going white or reflecting off the room or whatever else. So I would stuff the bag. Now in this case, as you can see, I haven't, and I'm not going to. We're going to struggle through it, and I'll show you the best photo I can get out of a kind of a crappy product bag and try and make it look freaking amazing. All right, now one issue we have, as you can see, this won't stand. So we need a way to get the product to stand up. Tons of ways to do it. Here, I'm using a clock. I'm just going to put that down, put that there. Ta-da! Our product is now standing up, and I can adjust it so I can get the right angle on it. Put anything in the back. Doesn't matter, you're not going to see it. Anything that'll work, that'll hold this steady, works perfect. And this will work good for any of your products, so you can get different angles, different looks. As long as you can't see what's holding it up, it all works perfectly. All right, so Hero Perfect packaging is what you want to photograph, and find a way to support it by putting something in behind it. If it's something small, sometimes you can use a bit of MacTac, and that will help hold your item. Okay, now there is a million ways of lighting this, right? With studio lighting, all kinds of scrims and bounce recards and all this. Even with natural light, you can do so many different setups. I'm trying to do it very minimalistic. I think a lot of people that follow my channel are people like the subscriber are trying to do some product shots and some basic photography to sell their products and do a bit of advertising or whatever, or they're just trying to learn and they don't have a lot of photographic equipment. And some honestly aren't interested in it. They want to use basically what they have. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. Remembering we're trying to simulate window light. So that's why I've kind of gone with the setup. Now, one item I will mention, and you can get them pretty cheap, it's called a light tent. It's basically made out of the material like the umbrella or softbox. It's just a white diffusion, and it's basically a tent. It's a box. You put it over top of your product, and then you can shine light through it, and the light bounces around, and anything that your product reflects is white because that's what it's surrounded by. Whereas if I'm shooting, say, a music CD, the back of it, it's like a mirror. So if I lay it down and I try and shoot down at it, for one, you're going to see me, or even if I go in a bit of an angle, you're going to see the ceiling. Now, one way around that without using a light tent, my trusty foam core, you just simply would put it above. So you'd look through the camera and figure out where that product's picking up the reflection, clamp it in place with a stand, away you go. If you don't have a clamp, find a friend, girlfriend, wife, husband, brother, doesn't matter. Get something to hold that in place to stop that reflection, just while you get that picture. Okay, so $1.25. I mean, you can get the light tents pretty cheap, but then you've got to try and get light bounce through it on the other side. And it is a diffuser panel, and anytime you're using a diffuser panel, it cuts the quantity of light down. So you may have to increase your camera settings a little bit. And I'll show you even with the cell phone that we have to do that a bit. But as I say, there's a ton of different ways to do this. For better or worse, this is the way we're going to do it, as minimalistic as I possibly can, to try and show you the best product that we can get out of this. All right, let's move in for a closer look at this and figure out how we're going to set this up and try and de-wrinkle this bag and make it look a little better so you want to buy it. Let's get in closer. All right, there's our little setup. I've got it de-wrinkled as much as I can. So let's just zoom in a bit on this and move the camera. That looks pretty good. Now, you'll notice how we're a lot brighter on this side than we are on here. This is where I was talking about we need that piece of foam core to come in to bounce some light back in on that. Now, I do have a crinkle in the side here, which is hard to get away. And this is what I talked about. You need that perfect bag to work with. So we need to brighten this a bit. And look at that. Voila. It looks really good right there. We still have a little bit of an issue on this side, mainly because of that bag. But honestly, I think I could fiddle with this one forever. So if you're shooting your own product, then you want the best possible you can get. And if you're doing it for your Etsy or whatever, make sure you're using the very best you have. But that looks pretty good right there. So let me grab a photo. Now I'm going to turn that newer light on and have a look at that background now. it blows that out to just pure white. And you can see right there, I've got a bit of a gradient. I could take that into Photoshop, leave the haloing around, and just lighten the face of it in Photoshop. Now, if you don't have Photoshop, there are free editors on the web that you can get, or there are some within the cell phone that you can do, and you can edit it up and just lighten the face of it. But I'm going to lighten the whole scene. Blows that background out, just wonderful. And that looks pretty yummy to me for real fruit gummies. And in the case of our subscriber, he has the dried fruit. Let's get a picture of that. So that's how easy that is to set up, with a window light on this side, a reflector on that side, and a little light shining in behind. It's all in getting the angles. Maybe I have to rotate the bag a bit. So let's get this out of here. And actually, I'm going to bring the clock back in again. Let's move that out. Move this back a bit. Now, I'm going to have to unzoom. Slide that over a bit. And there is our product here. Let's just brighten this a bit for a minute so you can have a look. Now, if I move this around, see how I'm getting all that shine off the bag? Because when the product is lit directly, because the light's coming from over there, when it's lit directly, you're going to get that reflection right across the front every time. See how that burns right out? Now if I take this and diffuse the light so it's not direct on the product, bring in my bounce card, I can light that up. But if I'm not careful on here, I can also change the glare, so to speak, on the other side that we don't want glare. See on the cookie there, on the package, how that white's coming in? So if I bring that reflector too far forward, I'm front lighting again. I don't want that. So I just slowly back this off. There you go. I just need to move our little product over a touch. So we're kind of within our set. Bring that that way. That's not too bad. I can grab a photo of that. Again, it's all about your angle of the light. And you can see the reflections I'm getting across from my light. You just need to change this, and it all comes down to your packaging, making sure it's as smooth as possible. So let's get rid of that one. And let's bring in our tea bag here. Now we're going to need to zoom in on this one. And center just a bit. Got to move my clock over. Right, now you can see how we're getting an issue into here. So it's a matter of trying to play with the bag. Now, again, it all comes down to that perfect bag, because that's what's making or breaking. Now, we bring our reflector in, and if we don't have a big enough reflector, let's try and step this reflector up a bit. See, I can come in from above, and I can come in from the side. So I've put a piece of foam core on the top overhead like I showed before, and I've got a piece on the side. And that makes it look pretty good. That I could work with in Photoshop to make a very cool product shot, or we can just simply brighten this up, play with my foam core again, move that out a bit, and that looks pretty good. I can grab a photo of that. Now, if I take the piece away from the top, I get the top section of the bag here in shadow. But by taking a piece of foam core above, it bounces light back down onto the top section there. I've got a piece of foam core on this side as well. So foam core above, and see, I got a piece above it, and foam core to the side. And that's how I can take care of that. And that's silver. That is reflective. But because we're bouncing light all around and it's a large light source, we don't get any hot spots. I do have a wrinkle issue right there, but that is minor. And it's simply a matter of just shaping the bag and we can deal with that. But yeah, that's it. Okay, let's get back into the main studio and we can go over a bit more detail with this. That was tasty. That's how you shoot product with an iPhone 11. iPhone 11 performed really well yet again. Now, as I said, there's a ton of different ways of shooting product with cameras, cell phones. I tried to do the most simplest way I could with the most minimal amount of equipment. And I think it came out quite well. Now, these products weren't in great shape. I mean, this was a bag of cookies that had been opened a million times. This has been in the cupboard and it's got rub marks and dents and dings in it. And this was a malformed bag. But I think we got some pretty good photos. So check these out with a little touch up in Photoshop. Well, those came out pretty good with a little touch up in Photoshop. I hope I answered the subscriber's question on how to shoot products that are shiny with a cell phone. I use the iPhone 11. Great little camera. All right, if you have any questions or comments, please leave it down below. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Hit that bell notification so you're aware when I post new videos. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. I know it went a little longer than anticipated, but that tends to happen with me. Well, so until the next time.